All right, so let's go ahead and for today, we're gonna need 2 blocks and a blanket, and then we're gonna start actually on our abdomen. So we started this way last week, just on our stomachs, just trying to find our breath, and I found that it was really super helpful. And we're gonna do the same type of setup this week. So you're gonna find yourself on your stomach. Go ahead and cross your forearms, stacking them right on top of each other. And then some of you might walk your elbows a little further forward and then walk your hands a little closer to your chest. And then just let your forehead rest on top of the forearms, wherever is comfortable. And then notice if you want to widen your feet as wide as the outer edges of your hips, you might have them a little wider than that if that feels good. And then notice if it feels good to have your toes kind of turn in towards each other or spin out towards each other. And we're just going to spend about 4 to 5 breaths. Good morning, Laura. Getting settled into our body and into our breath here. So Laura, we're starting on our stomach in Nakrasana position. And then as you find yourself in this shape, I'd like you to notice where you can find a little bit more ease in the body. So maybe you need to find space in the shoulder girdle. Maybe find space around the jaw. Notice if you can find a little bit more weight in your pelvis, weight in your belly. And I want you to take 3 audible sighs out through the mouth. And you'll notice that the next time you breathe in, you can breathe into the belly and into the low back and into the side ribs, and then another sigh out. And we're just using this moment to connect with our breath. And after this last third exhalation, I'd like you to just close your mouth and start to breathe in deeply into the low belly and into the low back. So recently and I'm going to keep talking, you just keep breathing. Recently, I was listening to a podcast by Glennon Doyle, and she was talking about the stress of the holidays. And she was specifically talking about a conversation she had with her therapist that I thought was pretty fascinating, and I thought would be the focal point for today. She, in particular, was talking about how the holidays can be stressful for her because she's a perfectionist and she likes to make sure that everything is perfect, And the therapist noted that she has this energy or this intensity that comes about her when she's trying to make everything feel perfect or look perfect or be perfect. And the therapist just asked her, well, what if your presence is the thing that makes it special? Not the gifts, not the activities, not anything other than you just being fully present and alert and attentive to allowing your whole self to come to this moment and allowing space for the full self of all of those other people that you happen to love and care about to come into this moment. So I thought that that would be the interesting thing that we're going to work on. So in order to allow your full self to come to this space, and in order to allow the full space of others to come into this moment as well, we're going to notice that what you need to do might be very different than somebody else. And we're going to give ourselves permission to allow both things to be true. So you'll just take 3 more breaths here. And for you, that might mean you need to press more into the belly to fill the low back. For some of you, that might mean that you need to soften any tension around your chest or your rib cage. For some of you, you might need to release any tension around your jaw. And each one of us will be doing something perhaps slightly different, but each and every one of us will allow our full self to be here and allow space for the full selves of others to be here. And then at the end of your next exhalation, I'd like you to go ahead and start to walk your feet so they're underneath your hips. Press the tops of the feet down into the floor. And you might reposition your hands if you'd like, switching the opposite arm on top. From here, we're just going to find a little bit of breath to movement. So you'll inhale, lengthen your tailbone, reach your right foot back and then up and away from the floor. And then you'll exhale and lower that down. And then you'll switch sides. You'll inhale, lengthen through the tailbone, reach back through the left foot, reach it back and up, and exhale, lower down. And you'll do this about 10 times. And I encourage you to keep that low back super long. I encourage you to notice what happens if you squeeze the glutes just a little bit as you lift the same leg. And I encourage you to notice what happens if you can keep your pubic bone pressing down into the mat as the low belly draws away from the mat as you do this. And you're just following. Can you lift the leg a little higher with each subsequent inhalation? Can you notice if you can slow the exhale down just a little bit so the leg slowly starts to lower down? Yeah, nice work, guys. And so I haven't been counting. After you've done 10, we'll go ahead and pause. And I'd like you to just pause and breathe and notice what you notice. Then we'll go ahead and lift our heads. Open your arms out to the right and to the left and take a moment to pause there. Great. From here, inhale, lift your right leg up. And then start to cross your right leg over your left leg slightly behind you for a twist. So the right leg will touch the floor. Both arms will stay on the floor in this T shape. And you'll just notice what it feels like to try to keep your right shoulder on the floor, your right leg long behind you. And you're making this weird crossy X shape. And you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe there and notice what that feels like. And then on your next in-breath, come back onto the belly, both hips on the floor. And then we'll try that on the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg up and start to cross it behind you to the right, maybe putting that left foot on the floor behind you, allowing maybe the left hip to come away from the floor, but the left shoulder to stay glued to the floor. And you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe there and notice what that feels like in the body. On your next in-breath, come back through the center. This time, we'll go ahead and lift that right leg up once again. As you exhale, cross it over behind you to the left. This time you might bend the right knee and put the sole of the foot on the floor. You might then walk the right hand closer to your face and press lightly through that right hand, root down through that right foot behind you, lengthen your tailbone down to your left long leg, and just take a moment to pause and breathe here, noticing what it feels like to gently open the chest. Nice work. As you're ready, you'll gently inhale and unwind back onto the abdomen. And then we'll try it on the other side, teeing both arms. Inhale, lift that left leg, cross it behind you. You might bend the left knee, put the left foot on the floor. You might then walk the left hand close to your face and lengthen your tailbone down to the right leg as you push down into that left foot. Nice work. And just notice what it feels like to be in this twist. On your next in-breath, come back onto the belly. Okay, and then we'll try that one more time. Arms out in a T shape. Inhale, lift your right leg up. As you exhale, roll to your left, bend that knee if you'd like, planting the foot on the floor. This time you'll walk your right hand in. Some of you will stay right there. Some of you will reach that right hand up to the sky. Palm faces your face, and then you might just let that arm fall back behind you. You might feel what that feels like, if that feels okay in your shoulders. Some of you will internally rotate the hand, so you'll turn your thumb down to your butt and bring the hand to your low back, and you'll just pause and breathe there. But you're just paying attention to what's happening on that left shoulder, how the body's feeling now at this moment. Awesome sauce. Take one more breath cycle here. And then as you're ready, you'll gently unwind. So if that hand is behind you, reach it up to the sky, come back to the floor, roll onto your belly, extend the right arm out to the right. And then we'll try all that to the left. So go ahead and lift that left leg up, cross it back behind you, roll to the right, look to the left, walk the left hand in. You might stay there. You might reach the left hand up and just let the arm fall back behind you for a gentle stretch across the chest. You might internally rotate that arm, bringing the back of the left palm to your low back, and you'll just pause and breathe wherever you are. And no matter what you're doing, can you allow all of you to be present? I thought it was very interesting to listen to her discussion because she was talking about her hypervigilance and how in many ways she just thinks that she has to control things to make them okay. And the therapist was trying to encourage her to reconsider that idea. And I wonder how much of that applies for us ourselves? Like, how much do we think that we have to effort in our lives and our works and our relationships? And how can we allow ourselves a little bit more grace, a little bit more space? As you're ready, you'll inhale and gently come out of this shape, maybe reaching that left arm up and then coming back onto the belly. And then take a moment here on your belly to just notice what you notice. From here, bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press onto hands and knees. And I want you to take 4 cats and cows here, just rounding through the spine as you exhale and inhaling, arching through the spine. And you're just noticing what it feels like to round through the spine, staying with your breath. This doesn't have to look any particular way. Love that, Jenny. You're getting a lot of core work doing that. Awesome. And after you've taken 4 sets, go ahead and find ourselves in stillness. And I want everyone to lower their forearms down onto the mat. Okay, now with your knees just like this, forearms down, you can clasp your hands as you'd like. You might just keep a number 11 shape. I want you to curl your toes under, and I want you to start to walk your knees back. So your knees are still on the floor, but I want you to walk your knees back. Your knees are still on the floor, but I want you to walk your knees back. Yep, and you're going to keep walking your knees back until you find yourself in this weird version of a forearm plank. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Now from here, I want everyone to push down into the floor a lot. I want you to lengthen or scoop your tailbone back towards your knees a lot. And then I want you to see if you can flatten your low abdominal organs into your back body. That sounds super weird, but I want you to pull all your organs up and away from the floor. And you're going to push that floor away a lot for dear life. Yep. And we're going to pause and we're going to breathe. And I'm going to not sing to you Christmas songs, but you can think of your favorite Christmas song in your head, or Hanukkah song in your head, or maybe child's lullaby, or maybe something to just pass the time as I'm having you sit here for another few seconds or so. And you're breathing and you're breathing and you're pushing that floor away for dear life, and you're breathing and you're breathing, and go ahead and come out. So you'll walk your knees forward. You might take another cat and cow. You might find yourself in a child's pose if that works for you. But again, what you're doing, the next right thing for you, will be dependent upon you. So how you can show up in your relationships better for you might be you have a little bit more yang energy, as it's called, or you might have a little bit more yin energy. Whichever one is okay for you is what you'll be doing. Awesome sauce. And then when you're ready to try again, we're going to come forward back to forearms and knees. And this time in forearms and knees, I want everyone to actually look down at your elbows, and I want you to widen them enough that if I asked you to touch your chest to the floor, you could do that without having to adjust your elbows. So they're not like super wide, but they're wide enough that if I told you to put your chest to the floor, you could do that. Great. Now from there, pause. I want you to walk your knees back. Walk your knees back. So your forearms are still on the floor. You're going to walk your knees back. Keep walking those knees back. And so some of you will stay right here and repeat what we did. Some of you will lift your knees up and away from the floor. All of us are going to lengthen our tailbone back for dear life. So Steve, we're like in a forearm plank. There you go, Laura. That looks really good. And then I want you to flatten those low abdominals. So pull all your organs up and away from the floor. Push the floor away for dear life. And we're going to breathe. Everyone lift the back of your head. Yep. And we're going to breathe for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Okay. So you'll come out of that now, and you might do some cats and cows. You might go back to a child's pose. You might be like, Jessica, what are we doing? Oh, we're going to do a third set. Happy holidays to you guys. So 3 planks for today to get us all warmed up. Roberta looked at me like, what? I took a class with Mary Richardson this week, and she always starts off her classes this way. And she's like, class without plank is not my class. I was like, that is true. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to try our third set. So again, this time, let's again make sure there's enough space in the elbow so that your chest could touch the floor if you needed it to. Your knees, yeah, nice, Barbara. Your knees are underneath your hips, and then you're going to start to walk them back. And so you'll walk your knees back. And some of you will stay right here. Some of you will lift your kneecaps up. All of us are going to lengthen our tailbone back and pull our low bellies in. Now, if the first two variations were enough for you, you stay right there. Some of you will lift one leg up and off the floor and hover there for a breath cycle or two. And then you'll lower that leg down, and then you'll do the other leg. And we'll do about, I don't know, a couple more sets of this. Now keep pulling your organs up and away from the floor and lengthening, there you go, Laura, your tailbone back. And if you're lifting one leg up, try not to shift your hips from right to left. And then we'll breathe. We'll breathe. And so those that are lifting legs, make sure you do at least 6 sets. And then those that are in stillness, you can also think of lifting one leg up, and it's supposed to get the same muscular activity. And so we'll do another 10 seconds or so. So you just breathe. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. This time, go ahead and bring your knees onto the mat, walk your hands back, and take 3 or 4 cats and cows just on your own before we move on. And again, you're just starting to notice what you notice. Our presence doesn't always require that we do a lot of fire intensity, and sometimes it doesn't mean that we create, I don't know, she was talking about these rigid boundaries she creates around herself, which I thought was interesting. It's more like allowing ourselves to have permission that who we are is enough and that that's completely fine. Awesome sauce. Let's go ahead and come to stillness. Erica, you might want to turn sideways for this, but we'll see in a moment. Okay, so from our hands and knees, let's find a neutral spine. I want you to draw your low belly in and up, so hug those organs together. And as best as you can, go ahead and reach your right foot back behind you if you have the space. Great. With your right leg parallel to the floor, keep pushing down into your hands, draw your low belly in. Some of you will walk your left hand slightly to the left, just a smidge. Great, take a big breath in here. As you exhale, your right leg will swing towards the right, towards your right arm, and then you'll exhale and draw it back. And we're gonna do about 5 of these. And as best as you can, try to keep that right leg parallel to the floor. If you need to bend your knee, by all means, bend the knee. The right leg is super heavy when it's long. So if that's too heavy for you, bend the knee and open it to the right. And then you can straighten it back behind you. And again, we're trying to breathe. Trying to breathe. And then the next time that right leg's to the right, let's pause there. See if you can squeeze your butt cheek and lift that right leg a little higher. On your next exhale, lower the right foot to the floor, right foot in line with your left knee. Great. From here, start to press your bum back towards your left heel, walk your hands forward a smidge, and you'll find a crazy stretch happening on the inside edge of your right inner thigh. Press the whole right pinky toe down. So Jason, walk the right leg to the right, putting it in line with the left knee. So it's completely out to the side. Yeah, there we go. And then you're just breathing into that sensation that you experience. You're pressing your hips back towards your left knee and you're noticing what that feels like. Some of you will intensify this by walking your hands up and towards the upper right corner of your mat. Some of you will stay exactly as you are, just breathing into your legs, into your hips. Awesome sauce. Very gently, let's start to walk our hands back so they're underneath your shoulders. You might walk your right foot closer to your left knee, just a smidge. And then walk both hands over to your left side so they're in line with your left knee. Both hands all the way over to the left side so they're in line with your left knee. So, okay, that was clear as mud. So walk your left hands completely to the left. They're probably off the mat for some of you. There we go. Bring your right hand to your right hip, push down into your left hand and start to spin your rib cage forward. Now, as you press down into your right foot, push down into your left hand, push down into your left knee, and see if you can open the left ribs forward, the right ribs back, and let your chest lean forward and then maybe up. Some of you will bring your right hand to the back of your head. You'll push your head into your hand into your head, and you'll lean back. Some of you will just lengthen your tailbone a lot towards that right foot and feel a nice stretch. Some of you will reach the right arm over your ear and find a nice stretch there. Nice job. All right. To gently come out of this, I want you to go ahead and lower that right hand to the floor, turn your gaze to the floor. Now, make sure that left hand is underneath your left shoulder in a way that feels good to you. So you might need to step it forward or back, but you'll shift your weight onto the left hand, float the right leg parallel to the floor, float the right arm up towards the floor. Flex through that right leg quite a bit. Right foot, there we go. And some of you will stay right there. Some of you will bend your top knee, your right knee, reach around and grab the outside edge of your right foot and just hold the foot close to the pelvis close to the foot. Draw the left ribs under, the right ribs on top. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will kick that right foot back behind you, but you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice here. Yeah. And then very gently, you'll release that right foot. You'll release back to that hands and knees position. So lowering the right foot down, lowering the right hand down, walking yourself back through center, walking the right leg back in to meet the left. And then take a moment to take some cats and cows and just notice what you notice between the sides. Is there a stark difference? And we want to remind ourselves that just like our two halves of the body are not the same, nor should we be the same. When we're adjusting to how we need to show up differently, it might look different in different situations with different relationships with different people. Awesome. And then when you feel complete, we'll go ahead and come to stillness and we'll try all this on the other side. So from here, hands are underneath the shoulders. Your low belly draws in, abdomen scoops in and up. Slide your left foot back so it's parallel-ish to the floor. You might walk your right hand slightly to the right for counterbalance. And then maybe Erica just turn around the other way. And then as you're ready, you'll exhale and open that left leg to the left and inhale it back. And you'll just try that, I don't know, about 5 to 10 times. And I want you to see if you can use the control of your muscles of your hips versus swinging the momentum of your leg. And again, if the leg feels too long of a lever, you can bend the knee. Awesome sauce. The next time that left leg comes out to the left, go ahead and pause there. Flex through the foot, lift the leg a little bit higher. And then you'll lower the left foot to the floor in line with the right knee. From here, let's press the outside edge of that left foot to the floor. Start to walk your hands forward as you press your pelvis back towards your right heel. And you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe here, noticing where you feel sensation on this side. It might be the same, it might be different. Some of you might then walk your hands a little further forward and to the left upper corner of your space. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice what you notice happening in the body, what you notice happening in the breath. All right, let's go ahead and start to come out of this. So start to walk the hands underneath the shoulders. You might wiggle walk your left foot closer to your right and then walk your hands over to the right so they're in line with your right knee. Great. From there, start to push down into your right hand, push down into your right knee, push down into your left foot. Start to stack your shoulders on top of each other, the hips on top of each other. Great. And you might just stay there, pausing and breathing. You might bring that left hand to the back of the head, pushing the head into the hand. You might reach the left arm long and lean back, but we're just finding this long lateral stretch. So our left foot is still on the floor for a moment. Leg is super long if possible. Great. Well, let's go ahead and gently come out of this. So roll your left hand back down to the floor. From here, you might need to walk that right hand further right, just enough to shift your weight onto the right hand, right knee, float that left leg parallel-ish to the floor. Flex through that left foot. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will bend the left knee, reach around and grab the outside edge of the left foot. Again, push down into the right hand, push down into the right knee, lengthen the tailbone to the left knee, and then notice what it feels like to keep the left foot close to the pelvis close to the foot. Some of you will stay there. Some of you will kick that foot away from you, but you're just paying attention to what change you need to make so that the energy in your own body feels settled, feels calm, feels clear. Great. And then very gently, if you have that back foot, gently release it. Come back out with the leg parallel, lower the foot to the floor, lower the left hand to the floor, come back through center, crawling through center. And then again, walk the left knee in, a few cats and cows on your own, just to notice what you notice happening here. And again, you're just checking in with you. How would you show up to all these special moments in life if you didn't think there was something you had to do to prepare to be in them? Great. Let's go ahead and find ourselves into a neutral spine. I want you to curl both sets of toes under, push down into your hands and your feet to hover your knees just a smidge off the floor. Keep your inner armpits lifting up, and then you'll start to press your hips up and back towards downward facing dog. We just wanted to integrate the shoulder girdles there. Now, when you get to down dog, keep your armpits lifting up. Yep, press your hands down and forward, and you can slowly bend and straighten one knee as you like, but just pay attention to what's happening in the shoulder girdle, seeing if you can keep pressing down into the index and thumb of both hands equally, or if you favor one hand more than the other. Great. Awesome. And then when you feel complete, let's go ahead and come to stillness. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. And then exhale, step that right foot quietly between your hands. From here, bring both hands to the inside edge of your right foot, spin your left foot down to the floor for warrior two-ish legs, and then walk your hands slightly over to the upper left-hand corner of your mat. Now hug your outer right hip in a lot, press your left pinky toe down into the floor, and then walk your hands forward like you're doing a down dog, but send your pelvis away from you like you're doing a down dog. Great, and then you're just gonna pause. Keep hugging that outer right hip underneath you so the right knee tracks over the center of the foot. Yep, awesome. On your next in-breath, let's go ahead and come back through center. So walk your hands back to the right, pivot to the ball of your back foot. I want you to push down into both feet so you can make both sets of fingertips light. Walk the right hand to the outside edge of the right foot. Great. Now, staying on the fingertips on the left side, bring your right hand to the outside edge of the right thigh. Press the right thigh into the right hand into the right thigh, reach your heart forward, pull back with your left hand. Yep. And then start to scoop the belly on the right side as you rotate towards the right. And then some of you will stay here in this rotation, really pushing that right thigh into the right hand into the right thigh. Some of you will reach the right hand up, but you're just going to pause as you rotate to the right. Nice job. On your next exhale, gently unwind the spine. Take a moment to pause. I want you to put the weight into your feet. Some of you will spin the back foot down to the floor for warrior one. Some of you will stay in high crescent lunge position, but you're going to push into your feet and then you're going to come up to vertical. So you choose what's working for you. Great. And when you get to vertical, I want you to take 3 breaths. Notice what adjustment you need to make in this pose so that you can be completely stable. So you might have your arms in a different variation. You might bend that front knee a little bit more. You might straighten it a little bit more. You might squeeze that back leg. You might not, but make the adjustment for you so that you can really let yourself settle into this shape, settle into this moment and experience it versus, feeling caught up in whatever we sometimes get caught up in life. And you've got 3 more breath cycles here. And I want you to notice what you can soften so that you can enjoy this experience just a little bit more. Yeah, nice job, guys. On your next exhale, frame your front foot. Pivot to the ball of your back foot if you're not there and step back to high plank, Balanakasana. Great. Now for plank for today, we're gonna have the option to lower our knees if you'd like, but you're gonna shift your weight forward and give me one little happy baby push-up slower than you want to. Yeah, good job, people. And then you'll make your way back to downward facing dog. And then you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice what you notice. Where can you find more space in your spine? Where can you lift up through those inner armpits and find more length in your breath? Nice job, guys. All right, let's go ahead and try the other side. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. As you exhale, step that foot quietly between your hands. Great. Bring both hands inside of that left leg. Spin your right foot down for like warrior two-ish legs, and then walk your hands to the upper right corner of your space. Now we want to make sure that you're still, that looks good, Barbara. You want to make sure that you're still pushing your hands down and forward, but your pelvis back. Yep. And then see if you can scoop that left outer hip under towards the inner right thigh. Nice. And Roberta, can you send your butt back to that wall behind you just a yeah. Yep, and then you just pause and you breathe. Jenny, hug your outer left hip in for me. There you go. Awesome. And then very gently, you're going to start to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. You're going to pivot to the ball of your back foot. Now, push into your legs and make your fingertips light. So you'll come onto the tips of your fingertips. Some of you might want to put a block there, but you're on the ball of the back foot. Belly's pulling up and away from the floor. And then from here, bring that left hand to the outside edge of your left thigh. Push your left thigh into your left hand into your left thigh. Start to scoop the belly on the left side and rotate towards the left. Now with that right hand on the fingertips, you're clawing the floor and pulling it back to allow space for the vertebra to come forward and then wrap around. Yep, and then you might lift that left arm up. You might not, but you're pausing here. The legs are active. You're finding length through the vertebra, depth in the spine. Laura, tuck your chin to your chest for me yeah, there you go. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower that left hand down to the floor. Now your choice, either warrior one legs or high crescent legs, but push into your feet first, find lightness in your belly, and then come up to warrior one or high crescent lunge, whatever's working for you. And again, the hands are wherever you need them to be. And you're going to take the opportunity to adjust so that you feel that there's lightness in this pose, energy in this pose, strength in this pose, stability in this pose. Nice job, guys. Yeah, you got it, Alexander. You're doing it. On your next exhale, hands will come down to the mat. Pivot to the ball of the back foot if you need to. And then step back to plank pose. From here, you'll shift your weight forward, lower through that slow push-up. Yep. Come back up into your push-up. Nice job, guys. And then make your way back to downward facing dog. Awesome sauce. And just take 3 breaths. And I want every exhalation that you take in this shape to just be what you want to let go of so that you can show up to your holidays with your families, with your friends, in whatever way feels good to you, where you can be the most present and alert and relaxed version of yourself possible. Awesome sauce. At the end of this next exhalation, you'll start to bend your knees and then step your feet to your hands. When you get to the top of your space, separate your feet hip distance apart, and you might sway a little bit. You might be in stillness. You might bring your hands to the back of your head. You might bring the hands behind your low back and take a stretch, but you're choosing what is best for you. And each time, each one of us needs to make an adjustment to continue our evolution as people, as spiritual entities, as partners, as parents, as friends, as children, we have to adjust. And each time we make an adjustment, it may look slightly different than what we did before. And that's completely okay. And we just have to give ourselves permission to do that. And the reminder that that's part of life, that there's always that change that will happen. All right. When you feel complete doing whatever the heck you were doing, please come to stillness. Go ahead and release your hands down to the floor. And then let's slide our hands up to the outer edges of our shin bones. Inhale, start to bend your knees. As you exhale, push your hands into your shins into your hands. Scoop that low belly. Keep pushing your hands into your shins into your hands. Keep that energy in your legs. Bring your hands to heart center. Bend your pelvis low and start to bring your spine up to vertical. So knees are still bent, pelvis is low, spine up to vertical. Yeah, nice. And then we're going to just do some snow angels because some of us have snow. So you're going to release your hands alongside your hips. You'll inhale, sweep the arms out, sit your butt a little lower. Exhale, scoop the belly in, slide the arms down. And we're going to do about 5 of these. So you inhale, sit your butt lower, reach the arms out and up and overhead. And exhale, hug the belly into the spine, pulling those organs away from the space in front of you. And we've got 3 more. So we're imagining that we're making snow angels. And we're just really scooping that belly in as we're pushing down into our feet, pressing out into our imaginary hands on our shin bones. Do, 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 do. We like this little distraction. Okay, I think this was 4. And this one will be 5. So this last one will stay here, Utkatasana. See if you can sit a little lower. Really hug that low belly in, reach up through your pinky fingers on your next in-breath, push down to stand up. And then as you exhale, go ahead and lower the arms, lengthen the tailbone, scoop the belly, and just take a moment to soften and breathe. And you'll just notice what you notice here. Do you need to be still? Do you need to fidget around a little bit? Just observe what's happening in this shape, in this moment of your being. Awesome. And then we're going to find this. So I want you to make sure your feet are hip distance apart. So you might want to look down at your feet. Make sure they're parallel. And we're just going to do about 10 little calf raises. So turns out, so you can lift and lower your feet. This is one of the things I learned from Mary Richards this week. I thought this was fantastic. She said, our calves are apparently one of our biggest muscle groups that help with metabolic activity. And she said that we don't spend enough time actually trying to strengthen our calves. We just try to stretch them when they get tight, but a lot of times they get tight because they haven't been strengthened. And so your arms can be by your hips. You can try to do those snow angels if you'd like a little bit more challenge in your core. But we're paying attention to what's happening as we lift and lower our heels. Can we do it evenly? Do you notice if you're rolling more to the big toe side, or can you press evenly into the pinky toe side too? Is there a jolt as you get up and then a flop as you come down? Or can you let them be pretty smooth? I love that, Roberta. And even as you do it. Awesome. And let's take one more set. Yep. And then this last time you lower, you'll lower. Nice job, guys. Now, everyone bring your hands to your hips. I want you to walk your right foot in front of you like, I don't know what you would be, like Jimmy Cool School or something. So your right foot in front of your left. And then you're going to start to bend both knees a lot. Now hug your right knee into your left knee into your right knee. Some of you will keep that right foot on the floor. Some of you will sneak the right foot to the back of the left calf. Some of you will keep your hands right here on your hips. Some of you will open the arms out, right and left, and then wrap your right arm on underneath, left arm on top. Give yourself a hug. You might then double wrap the arms for Garudasana, but you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to see how that's going for you today. Nice stability, guys. Good job. And then when you're ready, you'll gently bring the hands back to the hips. You'll unwind the right leg. You'll stand up, cool school, both legs parallel to each other. Notice how that feels if you need to wiggle it out just a little bit. And then we'll try all that on the other side. So hands on the hips, cross your left foot over to the outside edge of your right foot. Then bend both knees. From here, really squeeze your right knee into your left knee into the right knee. Maybe the left foot stays on the floor. Maybe it hooks around the back of the right shin. You might keep your hands on the hips. You might open the arms out like a bird, left arm underneath, right arm on top. Give yourself a hug. You might then double wrap the arms. But you're just taking a moment to notice that no matter what variation you're doing it. No matter what the shape looks like, you're doing it. How can you just breathe and be okay with what's going on right here, right now? Nice work, guys. As you're ready, hands come back to the hips. Gently unwind the legs. And then take a moment to plant both feet. If you need to wiggle around, you wiggle around. If you don't, you don't. Awesome sauce. And then as we're ready, let's go ahead and move to face the long edge of our mat. You might want to bring one block to the top of the space, one block to the back of the space. It's totally up to you. And then go ahead and separate your feet about 4 feet apart. Make sure your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat. For this one, let's turn our right toes to face the left foot, the left toes to face out. So you start with the back foot, right toes to face the left foot. There we go. And then from here, let's go ahead and bend into that front knee. So now that should be our left knee for most of us. And then I want you to see if your stance feels wide enough for your warrior two, or if you need to make your stance longer front to back. Great. With your hands on your hips, really bend into the front knee. Now from here, reach out through both arms, palms face up. Draw the shoulder blades together on your back and soften the shoulders away from your ears. From here, we're going to just take 4 of these. So you'll inhale. As you exhale, straighten the front leg long. As you inhale, you'll bend into your warrior two. We're just trying to strengthen the muscles around the front knee. So really pay attention to how that front knee is tracking over the center of your foot. If that means you need to turn your left toes in just a smidge so that the toes really track over the knee, you do that. Great. And then the next time your front leg is straight, go ahead and stay there. Pull that left kneecap up, start reaching out through your left fingertips so much that you come forward, down and out for Utthita Trikonasana, lowering that left hand to shin, block, or floor. From here, some of you will bring your top hand to your top hip, and you might just find length there. Some of you will reach the top hand straight up, making a 180-degree angle with the bottom hand. And some of you will turn the palm to face the floor and reach the arm alongside your ears to find a nice stretch along the whole right outer hip. And so you're just taking a moment to pause and pay attention. Are you pressing into your feet? Are you hugging them towards each other, lengthening the left underside body? Nice work. All our variations are welcome. Just like all aspects of us are welcome. Our presence is our gift. Nice job. All right, let's go ahead and inhale and come back up. Return to warrior two. Yep. And then as you exhale this time, I want you to see if you can keep your legs this deeply bent, and you're going to reach out through that left arm once again and find your extended side angle. So for some of you, the left forearm will come to the top of the left thigh. Some of you, the left fingertips will come to the floor or a block inside or outside of that front leg. And then notice where you want the top arm. Do you want to take a half bind? Do you want to reach the arm alongside the ear? Do you just want to cup your head and lean your head back into your hand? Like, what feels good to you that allows you to come here fully with ease, with presence, with energy and joy? Ah, good job. All right. Very gently, let's go ahead and come out of this. It sounded like Mickey Mouse's laugh from the original cartoons. And then when you're ready, go ahead and straighten that front leg long. See, Steve got it. It did. It really did. Okay, yes, it did. And then you're going to go ahead and straighten the front leg long. Remove that block if there's one in front of your feet. Turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat. And then we'll try all of this on the other side. So you're going to start by turning your left toes to your right foot. And then turn your right foot out. And then you'll bring hands to hips and bend that front knee. And then notice that this is the appropriate stance for you on this side, or if you need to make an adjustment. So our sides are different. That's completely okay. And then once you feel like you found your warrior two, make sure that front knee tracks over the center of the foot. You're pressing into the pinky toe edges of that back foot, and then reach the arms out parallel-ish to the floor. Turn the palms to face up. Draw those shoulder blades together on the back, and then soften them away from your ears. And then as you're ready, you've got about 5 of these, bending and straightening that front leg. And you're really paying attention to what's happening on the muscles of the quadriceps. So making sure that they're pulling up to pull the kneecap up as you straighten that leg. It really just helps find stability in the joint, and then making sure that that front knee is really tracking over the center of the foot. So it doesn't always have to, but it just seems that that's the most stable for most of us most of the time. So I want to make sure that we're intentional about that. And if you needed to turn those right toes in slightly, you might do that. Sometimes I find that works better on my particular knee joint. So you just notice what works for you. Awesome sauce. And the next time that right leg is straight, pause there. Pull the right kneecap up, push down. There you go. Push down into both feet, and then reach forward, out and down through that right hand. Keep that kneecap up. There you go. There we go. And you'll find yourself in triangle pose. And then again, just as we did before, maybe that right hand's on a block, maybe it's on the shin, maybe it's on the floor. Notice where you want that left hand to be. Do you want it on your hip? Do you want it up towards the sky? Do you want the palm alongside the ear and the arm straight? But you're paying attention. You're making that choice that allows you to be here fully versus doing what you think you should be doing, or what you think others expect you to be doing, or what you feel obligated to do. Like, what feels good for you that allows you to show up as your whole self? And mind you, your whole self isn't always calm and relaxed. That's not fun. Your whole self has a whole variety of things, and how can you let that whole self be here? Awesome sauce. All right. On your next in-breath, let's go ahead and come back up to warrior two. Okay. Reestablish the awareness and stability in your legs. And with the legs still staying in warrior two, you'll reach forward through that right arm and find yourself in extended side angle, Utthita Parsvakonasana. Some of you will bring the right forearm to the thigh, fingers to the floor or the block. And then notice what's happening with that left arm. Do you want the arm alongside the ears? Do you want to cradle the back of your head and lean back? Do you want to take a half bind? Yeah. Or you're in a full bind. There you go. And you're just paying attention, and you're breathing, and you're noticing what's happening here for you. Trusting that that is super fantastic. That should be a word, super fantastic. All right. It's an adjective and a verb, so maybe not, but whatever. That's not even accurate. Okay, let's go ahead and inhale and come up. Returning to warrior two. And then as you exhale, if you have that block, let's go ahead and move the block, straighten the front leg long, turn both feet in parallel to each other. Great. Let's keep your hands on your hips for a bit. And then I want you to spin your toes out, your heels in. Okay. Now, make sure, we're going to do a few of these. So you can bend your knees. When you bend your knees in what we would call second position in ballet land, I want you to make sure that your knees are tracking over the center of your toes. So look down at your toes, and if you need to adjust that, please do. So your toes might need to come in just a smidge. Yep. And so we're going to do about 4 to 5 plies. So you're going to bend your knees and straighten your legs. And as best as you can, try not to lean. Yep, Sandy, love that. Do the arms too if you want. Try not to lean your torso forward when you do this. So the legs are externally rotated, and you're just trying to lower your pelvis. Yeah, nice, Roberta, between the thighs. Nice, Laura. Nice, Jenny. Nice, Erica. Nice, Barbara. Nice, Steve. Nice, Jason. Look at dancers in training. Look at us go. All right. Little sugar plum fairies. The next time you guys bend your knees and you sit low in second position, or goddess and horse stance, as we call it in yoga, I want you to take a moment to notice where you want to put your arms. Sometimes having the arms in front of you in a giant hoop feels really good. Sometimes it feels good to have the arms up and over your head in like a V shape. Sometimes it feels good to have them at the heart space, but you notice what feels good to you. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe. And some of you are going to stay right here with both feet firmly planted on the floor, squeezing your outer hips in. Some of you will lift your heels up and away from the floor, but you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Fantastic. And then if the heels are raised, lower the heels down. Push the floor away to straighten the legs. Lower the hands to the hips. Turn the feet in so they're parallel towards each other. With the hands on the hips, draw the shoulders up towards the ears, draw the shoulder blades onto the back, and then you'll start to hinge at your hips, sliding the hands down the legs, down towards the feet, folding all the way in for Prasarada Padottanasana. And then some of you might bring your hands underneath the shoulders. You might walk them forward and into that down dog shape. You might walk them back between your legs. But again, you're just paying attention. How can you let yourself be fully present in this moment, trusting that whatever your yoga shape looks like is fantastic. Whatever you're doing is fantastic. You are the gift, not what you're doing. Your being is the gift. All we have to do is just be. It's not always so easy, honestly. I struggle with that a lot, but it's something that I'm working on. So that's what we're doing. And then as we're ready, we're gently going to come out of this shape. So for some of you to come out of this might mean you bend one knee and then the other and shift your weight to find more movement. For some of you, that might mean that you just simply reverse what we did and come out of it. But you're going to find your way out of this, however feels good to you. So if you're bending one knee and shifting the weight side to side, you might slowly roll up the spine as you're doing that. You might do none of the above, but give yourself permission to be in your body, noticing what that feels like. Yeah. And then once you find yourself vertical, figure out how you'd like to get your feet back towards each other. So you might wiggle walk them, you might hop them, you might do none of the above. Great. And then once your feet are back together, turn to face the top of your space. Okay. And come to step to the top of your space if possible. Awesome. And then we're just going to do one round of Surya Namaskar A. So here we go. Inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step or float back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale through your upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale to your downward facing dog, 3 breaths. And you'll just notice what you notice. How did all that prep, all that stability give you access to this sequence that we do all the time? All the time. And yet sometimes we have to strengthen some things and let go of others, and it's completely okay. We're going to do one more set just like that, just so we feel what it feels like before we start to wind down. Next in-breath, go ahead and gaze to your hands. As you exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float, top of space. Nice work. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, hands to heart center. Last time, follow your breath, go through it however you would like, going through your Surya Namaskar A, and you're just giving yourself permission to be. Let yourself flow with your breath, be in your body, be in this moment in time, just as you are, unapologetically. Nice job, guys. Nice job, guys. Fantastic. And after you've done your complete cycle, you might hang out in down dog for a few breath cycles, or you might find yourself hanging out in child's pose for a few cycles, but you'll just let yourself be wherever you wish to be. Nice. And so some of you are still working, but we'll all meet in downward facing dog or child's pose. So you figure out where you want to be when you get there. Awesome. And then as we're ready, let's go ahead and find ourselves into a seated posture. So those from down dog, lower your knees and then bring your pelvis to the floor. Those that are in child's pose, swing your hips around and extend your legs in front of you. And I would encourage all of you to sit on something, so maybe a block or a blanket. This is going to be a little bit of an experiment for all of us. So I want you to first start by just sitting as tall as you can and softening your gaze or closing the eyes. And in this internal space, I want you to see, as abstract as this sounds, is if you can hear your own body talking to you, your own being, your own spirit, your own heart. Generally, I give you free range once we're supine, and we don't generally do it while we're seated. So just check in. You guys know enough seated postures at this point. So I want you to see if there's any seated posture that's really calling to you. For some of you, it might be Ardha Matsyendrasana. That's the seated fish. Some of you might want to do Paschimottanasana, which is that forward fold. Some of you might want to do Agni Stambhasana, stacking your legs on top of each other. You might want to do a seated figure four, but you listen into what your body's telling you you need and or want, and then give yourself permission to just do that. One of the things I found fascinating about this conversation was it's like, how can we give ourselves permission to be our whole selves with others and give others permission to be their whole selves with them? Because honestly, I think that's what we want from people. That's when we feel most connected to them, is when we can see their joy come out, and when they can see our joy come out, and when we can see our own joy come out. And so we're just gonna be here with each other, each doing whatever the heck we're doing. And mind you, I didn't give this as an option, but if you just want to sit and breathe, that is always an option. And you've got about another minute or so doing whatever the heck you're happening to be doing. So if you did something asymmetrical, by all means, please visit the other side. And then when you feel complete, having done whatever you happen to have done, we're going to make our way onto our backs. And when you find yourself on your back, please get there slowly. Make sure you have your blocks and your blankets around if you would like them. And yeah, because we are winding down, clothes are a nice thing to put on at this point. And the first thing that we'll do once we find ourselves flat on our back is I want you to just take 3 breaths, big audible breaths. Letting yourself settle in. Big audible breaths. Okay. Please stop, guys. Okay, just because we did a lot of asymmetrical things, let's make sure our pelvises are okay. So please bend both of your knees and plant your feet on the floor. Go ahead and grab one of your blocks and slide it between your thigh bones on either the first or the second setting. With your feet in line with your hips, we're going to go ahead and just push into that block and squeeze it at about 20% of your capacity. And you release. I'm going to do that about 3 to 4 more times. Not 100% of your capacity, it's like 20%. And release. And then last time, squeeze it about 20% of your capacity. And release. Okay, keeping that block or football there, extend your arms alongside your hips. And then you'll just inhale, roll up the spine, lift the pelvis away from the floor. And you'll exhale, roll down the spine, lower the pelvis back down. Now you've got about 5 of these. And you're noticing what it feels like to slowly lift the tailbone and then the low spine and then the middle spine up. And slowly lower the upper back, the mid back, the low back, the pelvis back down. And you might find that as you continue these, you can get a little higher. You can find a little bit more articulation through the vertebra. You're noticing if the right hip and the left hip lower at the same pace and lift at the same pace. Awesome. And after you've done 5, you'll go ahead and stay up in that elevated bridge shape. Some of you from here will roll your shoulders underneath you, tucking them underneath you. Some of you will interlace your hands. Some of you will grab the outer edges of your mat. Some of you will elbow or robot the arms, bending at the elbows. And you'll just take about 4 to 5 breaths here. You're pressing evenly into the feet, letting the shin bones, thigh bones slide forward, hugging into that block, rolling the inner thighs down, lengthening the tailbone forward to the knees, and then notice the amount of pressure in the upper shoulders and the back of the head, any tension in the jaw. And at the end of your next exhalation, release the hands, untuck the shoulders slowly, bring the pelvis back down bone by bone. When your pelvis finally touches the floor, you'll take a moment to pause and breathe there. And then remove that block from between your thighs. Open the feet outside of the hips, open the arms out in a T shape. And then slowly windshield wiper the legs one way and then the other, letting both knees fall to one side, working through both legs independently as you do so. And then when you're back to your first side, you might stay there, stacking the bottom foot on top of the top thigh, because you all went different ways. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice what that feels like. Just staying there for a couple breath cycles. And then when you feel ready to move to the other side, you'll gently release the foot. You'll come back through center and you'll go to the other side. And again, you're just giving yourself permission to be in your body with your experiences. Like every experience we have is just information. And how can we allow ourselves to just view it as information versus something else? And then when you're ready, you'll release that and you'll come back through center. And for our last shape, you might choose to take or walk the feet in and take happy baby. You might choose to take Ananda Balasana, happy baby. You might choose to take Supta Baddha Konasana. But you'll just give yourself permission to see what feels good to you and just give yourself permission to do that. Yeah. And then when you feel complete, please make your way into your final resting pose. I do encourage you to use the supports that you have, whether it's the blankets, whether it's your blocks, a towel, some pillows, anything to let yourself really feel nestled in and supported to just be as you are. And then when you find yourself in your final shape, fidget around until it feels like both sides are equally supported, the right side and the left side. And then for today, we're going to end by contracting all of our body and then releasing it. So I want you to squeeze your hands and squeeze your toes and squeeze your glutes and squeeze your stomach and squeeze your nose and squeeze your mouth and squeeze everything that you can possibly squeeze and squeeze, 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 tighter, 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 and then let it go. I notice what that feels like. And then we'll do that 2 more times. So squeeze everything, making little fists, contorting your face and your stomach and your glutes and your feet and your fingers and your shoulders, and all of it's just tight little bells, and then let it go. And very last time, go ahead and squeeze, 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 squeeze. Little contraction. And let it go. And as you soften into this shape this time, notice where else you might still be unconsciously holding stuff, and see if you can let it go. I mean, the thing is, I think so often we hold on to things that we're not even aware of holding on to, and that keeps us from being fully present in the way that we would like. And Shavasana kind of teaches us that we can become aware of where we can soften, where we can yield just a little bit more, where sometimes we don't have to hold on because we've got the support of family, of friends, of gravity. And if we can just remind ourselves of that, it makes so many other aspects of life a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you on your own for a few moments. And I just encourage you to continue to notice where you can breathe and where you can let the body be easy, where you can let you be easy. And if at any time the mind wanders, no worries, you just come back to the breath and seeing how you can relax into the body. When it's time to come out, I will let you know. Mm. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment, really check in. Notice if there's any part of you that longs to linger in this shape for a few moments, a few breath cycles. And if so, stay here as long as you'd like. When you are ready, you'll allow small movement to come back into your form in whatever way feels exciting or curious or comfortable or just lovely to you. Those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those in movement, start to make your way to one of your sides and see if you can just stay there for a couple breath cycles. So the reason we roll to our sides is it helps us rebalance our blood, blood pressure, so we don't feel dizzy or anything. So we want to take a few breath cycles to stay there on that side. And then you'll gently start to roll your chest more towards the floor, press into your top hand, and draw yourself up to a vertical position. When you find yourself vertical, I do encourage you to sit on something, whether it's a block or a blanket. And then with the gaze still soft or the eyes closed, I want you to sit as tall as you can. And in this moment, again, bring one hand to the heart and maybe one hand to the belly. And we're going to end with this. I think yoga teachers say this a lot, but it's really true. There is only one you. There will always ever be only just one you. And your full and undivided and complete presence is a gift, no matter what situation you find yourself in. And so I want you to just take 3 to 4 breaths, knowing that every person that you love loves you for the person that you are, the energy that you are, more so than any of the things you could ever do. And so we'll just take our last few breath cycles here. And then we'll bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press your palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and lift your sternum to your thumbs. Gently soften your chin a smidge towards your throat and then exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. To that light, to that breath, and to that sound and presence, we bow. Namaste.